there, Scruff? Something wrong?
Nah, everything's okay.
You sure? It doesn't look like everything's okay. You know, it's not like you to sit around moping like this. Must be something on your mind.
It's a secret.
A secret, huh? You know, the things I keep secret don't upset me.
They don't?
Nope, they sure don't. In fact, if you know a secret that scares or worries you, it's important to tell an adult you trust, like your old uncle here.
Well, I don't know. Guess maybe you're right. It's about my friend Chris. Her stepmother hits her, Unc. Real hard, too.
Oh, no, that's bad news, Scruff. That sounds like child abuse, one of the worst crimes of all. Every kid, and I mean every kid, has the right to be safe. The right not to be harmed. You see those kids over there? Each one of them is special. They all have their own talents, their own special way of living life. They all deserve to be safe.
I see what you mean. If adults would stop hitting kids, then there wouldn't be any more child abuse.
Well, that'd really help. But it's not that simple, Scruffaroo. Child abuse is more than adults hitting children. There are other kinds of abuse besides physical abuse.
Like what?
Well, kids aren't given the emotional support they need to make them feel loved or like they're worth something. That's a kind of abuse. Or kids are purposely neglected by their parents who don't give them the food, clothing, shelter, or medical attention they need and deserve. Some boys and girls are yelled at and made to feel bad or worthless. Others are ignored and made to feel like they don't even exist. And some kids are sexually abused. They're used by an adult or older kid for physical pleasure. Sexual abuse is a violation of a child's privacy, Scruff. It's a crime, and it hurts. A lot of times, boys and girls who have been abused think it's their fault, but it's not. It's never their fault. It's the fault of the person doing the abusing. And abusing children is against the law and shouldn't happen.
But how can kids keep it from happening to them?
Sometimes they can't. But there are ways kids can deal with abuse. In fact, I'm going to look into my crime files and tell you 3 stories about kids who learned how to handle themselves in abusive situations.
Maybe this will help my friend Chris.
I hope so, Scruff. I hope so. Now, the first story is about Teresa.
So turn to page 47 in your books. And back to this environmental education. Did you know that it takes 12 pounds of grain to produce 1 pound?
Teresa's mother neglected her. Her mom didn't feed her properly. She didn't provide her with clean clothes, and she didn't help Teresa keep herself clean. One time, she even locked Teresa out of the house overnight.
Okay, I hope you're all paying attention because we're going to have a test on this tomorrow. All right, now, let's get your homework out from last night. Who wants to work on the first problem? Good, everybody's prepared. Almost everybody. Jeremy.
Teresa was smart, but the more her mother neglected her, the harder it was for her to be a good student. She was too tired and too hungry to think clearly.
The answers are in 1 yard.
Her schoolwork went from good to average to poor, and she stopped talking to people, even her friends.
Didn't anybody care about her?
Lots of people did, Scruff. Her school teacher, for one.
Hey, don't forget to do your homework tonight. See you in the morning. Teresa, could I talk to you for a minute? Concerned about you. You look tired. And you don't seem to care about your schoolwork like you used to.
Why should I? Nobody cares about me.
Now, why do you say that?
I don't know. Can I go home now?
Well, you can if you want to, but I'd sure like for you to stay and talk with me for a few minutes. Maybe you could tell me what's on your mind. You know, how you feel about things.
You want to hear how I feel?
Well, sure I do. Who you are and what you have to say is important. They matter to me.
They do?
From her teacher, Teresa learned that all kids, all people for that matter, are valuable. Everybody's different and everybody's special.
Teresa also learned to talk about things, didn't she, Unc?
Yep. To share her thoughts with other people, to tell them how she feels inside.
I guess feelings are important, aren't they, Unc?
You bet they are. Feelings are part of what makes everybody special.
Like being happy, angry, scared, sad, silly, goofy.
Exactly. Those feelings are healthy and they're normal. Just because a feeling is inside you doesn't make it any less real, and kids have a right to their feelings.
Did Teresa talk to someone about how it felt to be, what did you call it, neglected?
Yes, but it wasn't easy for her. Ms. Powell explained the idea that children have rights.
You see, kids can be hurt in a lot of different ways. They can be hit, or they can be touched in a way that feels uncomfortable to them, or they can be yelled at, or left alone and not fed.
Like me.
Like you. But you need to know that whenever one of these things happen, you have the right to ask for help, the right to be safe. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Did Teresa get help?
Yep. Her teacher called an agency that helps neglected kids and their families. Teresa went to her aunt and talked with her. She told her aunt how it felt to be hungry and that she wanted to be safe and cared for.
Did things change at home for her?
Well, so far, not that much. But the agency people worked out a way for Teresa to stay with her aunt part of the time. And Teresa understands that she does have the right to be taken care of. She knows that her feelings are important and to tell someone she trusts about those feelings.
I'm glad Teresa's doing better, Unc. What's the next story about?
It's about Kevin Kramer, a boy whose father physically abused him, I'm sorry to say.
Now what?
I came to get a drink of water.
I'm trying to watch TV.
Sorry.
You're always sorry, you know that? I think maybe you need another lesson.
Dad. No!
Sounds like Kevin's dad beat him all the time. Is that true, Unc?
That's true, Scruff. Mr. Kramer injured Kevin by punching and kicking him.
Unc, I'm mixed up. I know some parents spank their children. Is that physical abuse, too?
Well, Scruff, even though I wish parents would pick other ways to correct their kids' behavior, not all spankings are child abuse. To be physical abuse, it has to result in an injury, like a scar, a broken bone, a scratch, a welt, or a bruise.
It's still a little confusing.
You're right. And that's why if kids have questions about abuse, they should talk about it with an adult.
Is that what Kevin did?
Uh-huh. He went to his school counselor, a man named Rick Harris.
Hey, Kev. Come on in. How you doing?
Good.
Yeah. What's up?
I don't know. Maybe nothing.
Whoa, Kev, those are some terrible bruises. How'd you get them?
Off bike.
Are you sure about that? I mean, it wasn't something else that caused them. I mean, something that you may find hard to talk about?
Maybe.
Well, go ahead. It's okay to tell me.
My dad. He hit me. But it was my fault. I deserved it.
Believe me, Kevin, you don't deserve to be hit, man. Okay? In no way was it your fault. It's against the law for adults to injure children.
Even Dad's?
Even dads. Has your father hit you before?
Yeah.
How long has this been going on?
I don't know. Long time, I guess.
Have you told anybody else about this before today?
No. My dad said that'd make me a tattletale.
Look at me, Kevin. It doesn't make you a tattletale. There's a big difference between tattling and telling. Tattling is done to get someone in trouble. Telling is done to protect you or someone else. And you did the right thing by telling me.
I did?
Kevin did make the right decision. If kids think they're being abused, it's important to find an adult they trust who will listen. If that adult doesn't help, they should keep looking for an adult who will listen and who will believe them.
How did the counselor help, Unc?
In a couple of ways. First, he explained the getaway rule.
So what you do, Kevin, is you get away as soon as you can from any situation you think might be harmful. Now, I'm not telling you to run away or do the impossible. But if it's safe to go next door to a friend's house when your dad's in a bad mood, it is okay to do that.
But what if I can't get away?
Well, if you can't, you can't. But you make sure you tell an adult you trust as soon as you can. And remember, it's not your fault. No one deserves to be hurt.
All right, I'll remember.
Come on. All right. Let me see that, man. I'll get you down to a nurse.
What else did the counselor do?
Well, McGruff, he reported the crime to adults whose job it is to protect children.
That must have made Kevin's dad real mad.
It did at first. But over the last couple of months, Mr. Kramer has been in counseling. He's learning why he hit Kevin and how he can stop.
Hey, so everything's okay now?
Well, things are better. But they're still not okay. Physical abuse is a serious problem, and it takes a while to solve it. But parents can learn how to change their own behavior.
At least Mr. Kramer's trying.
That's right, Scruff. At least he's trying. And most important, Kevin understands that the abuse wasn't his fault, and he wasn't to blame.
That's good. Now, who's the last case about?
It's about Mindy Thomas. Mindy was being sexually abused by her stepfather. I saw Mindy outside her house, just sitting there, looking sad. Hi, Mindy, what's wrong?
Hi, McGruff. I'm thinking of running away from home.
Well, mind if I ask why?
It's a secret, McGruff. I'll get in trouble if I tell.
Huh. That sounds like a bad secret to me, Mindy. It's never a good idea to keep bad secrets.
What do you mean?
Well, it's fun to keep good secrets. They're about happy or exciting things, like a party or a present. But bad secrets are usually about sad or scary things, like somebody hitting you, or forcing you to take off your clothes, or maybe someone touching your private parts, or making you touch theirs. It's not fair for someone to ask you to keep a bad secret.
But I promised not to tell.
Who did you make the promise to, Mindy?
My stepfather. He said that if I told anyone, he wouldn't love me anymore. And he'd get in trouble.
He did, huh? So your stepfather is getting you to keep a bad secret by saying he won't love you and that he'd get into trouble.
I guess so.
That's called bribery, Mindy. And a person who cares about you won't offer you a gift or promise to love you in return for something that feels like a bad secret.
But my stepfather cares about me, McGruff.
Yeah, in some ways he does. You're right. But why is he asking you to keep a secret that scares and confuses you? If the secret is making you hide something that seems wrong, you should tell me about it.
So it's okay to keep good secrets, but you should tell bad secrets? Is that true, Unc?
That's true, Scruff. Kids shouldn't feel guilty about telling bad secrets, and they shouldn't be afraid they'll be blamed or no one will believe them, or that nothing will be done if they do tell. Bad secrets must be told.
Did Mindy finally tell her secret?
Yes, she did. But it was a tough thing for her to do.
My stepfather's touching me, McGruff, and doing other things too. What he does makes me feel terrible, like I'm a bad person.
Mindy, you're not a bad person. What your stepfather is doing is wrong. It's not your fault. You're not to blame. Don't forget that. Where's he touching you, Mindy?
My chest and bottom.
Those are your private parts, Mindy.
What do you mean by private?
Private means that something belongs only to one person, nobody else. Any part of a person's body can be private if they want it to be, but certain parts, those parts covered by a bathing suit, are private for everyone. Nobody should touch or look at those areas unless there's a good reason, like when you go to the doctor.
I don't think there's any good reason for my stepfather to touch me. It makes me feel... I don't like it. It makes me feel all mixed up and scared and yucky.
You have the right to say no to that kind of touch.
I do?
Yes, kids have the right to refuse any touch that makes them uncomfortable or doesn't feel right.
What if I'm too scared to say no?
Then there's something else you can do.
There is?
Yep, you should think no. Think to yourself, I don't deserve this treatment. I have rights. I'm a valuable person, and no one has a right to do this to me.
I can think no without saying no?
You sure can. You should think no in any bad or scary situation and mean it, even if you don't actually say the word. In fact, even when you can say no, always think no too.
Say no if I can. Think no every time. I'll remember that, McGruff.
And don't forget, you can get away from the situation when you think it's safe. But no matter what you do, you should go to an adult you trust and tell them what's happened.
Or tell the crime dog, huh?
Or tell the crime dog. You see, Scruff, kids have the right to say no to any touch that doesn't seem right. And they have the right whether the person touching them is a stranger or someone they know, a friend or even someone they love. Every kid has the right to be safe.
Did you get Mindy some help, Unc?
I sure did. I introduced her to a counselor I know, and together they're working on the problem.
What about her stepfather?
That was a tough one. You see, like Mindy said, I'm the crime dog, and what Mindy's stepfather was doing is against the law. I reported him to the local law enforcement agency. Then the officer made sure that Mindy was protected.
Will she be safe now?
I hope so. I'm going to check in on her from time to time. At least she knows there are things she can do if anyone ever touches her where she doesn't want to be touched. She understands that every kid has the right to be safe, the right not to be harmed.
And that's exactly what I'm gonna tell my friend Chris.
Good for you, Scruff. Be sure to tell her what's happening is not her fault, that it's okay to say no, and that she should always think no. Tell her to get away when it's safe, and most of all, that it's important to tell a trusted adult about what's happening. If kids learn to like themselves, to talk about their problems, and to value their own feelings, we can all, take a bite out of crime.